Communities near Richmond are still reeling today after a flaring incident at the Chevron Refinery spewed clouds of thick black smoke into the air. According to a statement from Chevron, the flaring was caused by a partial power outage at the refinery. The company says it's working with local authorities to investigate and avoid similar outages in the future.
A huge plume of smoke and flames visible in the air for several hours on Monday following a power outage at the Chevron Refinery in Richmond.
Flames and smoke filled the air over a Martinez refinery after an incident there set off flaring. You see it here in the video. The flaring was off and on for at least 16 hours, fueling more health concerns, just as neighbors sued the refinery for prior incidents that they say sent toxic smoke and dust over their community.
Flaring shooting high into the sky from the Martinez refining company for hours up until the sun came up Thursday morning.
In the East Bay, our chopper captured flaring coming from the Martinez refinery. The refinery says an operational incident triggered the safety systems, and they claim the air quality was not impacted. This was last night. This comes after two Martinez residents actually filed a proposed class action lawsuit against the refinery after a big spent catalyst release last year that left dust covering the surrounding communities.
Incidentally, yesterday's flare-up happened just after two parties filed a lawsuit against the Martinez refinery over chemical releases from the plant over the past year, including an incident during last year's Thanksgiving weekend that spewed white dust into the surrounding neighborhoods, a dust that can potentially cause respiratory issues. The lawsuit against the refinery demands both environmental and medical monitoring of this site.
Attorney Blair Kittle represents the two plaintiffs in this case, who claim toxic chemicals have been released on at least 3 additional occasions this year and fear the dust is contaminating their gardens and jeopardizing the community's collective health.
It's not we're just looking for money. We're looking for the refinery to step up and pay for these things that are going to make their community safer and make the people around them more comfortable, and also protect them to make sure that nothing bad is happening to them medically.
The lawsuit was filed by the Cotchett, Petrie, and McCarthy law firm. Its lead attorney, Blair Kittle, joins us here on the floor. Thanks so much for being with us.
Of course, glad to be here. Thank you.
So you filed this on behalf of two Martinez residents, Alina Cruz and Shannon Payne, but you want the judge to prove this is a class action lawsuit. This is the first step. What is the end game here in what you're trying to achieve with this lawsuit?
Absolutely. So our two plaintiffs, we think, are representative of the general group of people, as you mentioned previously, about 40,000 people in the Martinez area who were affected by these releases from the refinery. Our main objective is to make sure that these people's health and that their future is taken care of. Right now, there's no medical monitoring regime, and that's our #1 priority right now, is to get the refinery itself to pay for a medical monitoring regime where all the affected people who had these releases spew into where they live, the ability to go see a doctor paid for on the refinery's dime to make sure that their health is unaffected, and then if anything does happen to them that's a result of this release, that the refinery will pay for any treatment they need, and to go ahead and proactively do that.
So it's a first
step.
That's our
#1 thing.
Yeah, if we can just show some pictures from what you're talking about, certainly to remind people. I want to show you pictures from Thanksgiving night of last year. We had this white powder people found on their cars and their homes that was later defined as 20 to 40 tons of what they called spent catalyst, and I know residents were offered free car washes there. We had July of this year as well. That was what they called a coke dust release. Those are just two of, I think, several incidents that the suit noted. I should say we reached out to the refinery today. They said they don't comment on ongoing litigation. But, you know, certainly when you're talking about this, that is the question. Are you seeing people with health problems, or are you not yet and just want to make sure that they don't have any health problems?
Well, you know, if you look at our complaint, both of our clients have health issues that they think are potentially attributable to this type of contamination. You know, I think what we're trying to do, though, really is to be proactive about it and make sure that this thing is already in place in case these things start popping up. We don't want people to have to start going out of pocket and then petition later on to get those expenses paid. We think that this should be done proactively, considering that this is everywhere in the community. People are seeing this dust. It's affecting them. Both of our clients, in fact, more than just their cars, this dust ended up in their gardens, and they actually ate a lot of the food that was grown in their own gardens before the refinery notified them that this was actually going on.
You also have issues with alerts and notifications as well. Is that an area that you think, you know, certainly people have weighed in on, we weren't told, the health department wasn't told in these instances in a timely and legally required manner.
Absolutely. We think that's the second main component of what this lawsuit is trying to accomplish, is to make sure that people are going to be notified both of what's happening, when it's happening, and then the extent of what's actually being released into their communities. As I was just talking about with our two lead plaintiffs, they, along like many in that community, grow their own vegetables, have those sort of home garden situations. Both of them have stopped gardening, stopped growing vegetables for their own consumption because of this, because they don't know what's happening. The first time that they received official communication from the refinery was when refinery officials, months after the fact, actually came out to their neighborhoods and, just like you said, offered one family car detailing and offered another family to replace the soil in their garden. And both these lead plaintiffs were thinking, what about us? It's not just our cars and our gardens, it's actually our people, our families.
Human impact.
What's going on with that?
Yeah, and I wonder, I mean, certainly, you know, lawsuit is kind of the next phase. We've certainly had the EPA weigh on this. The county health department said they were looking into it. You had the Contra Costa County supervisors, Congressman Garamendi, DeSaulnier, and Thompson, all kind of weighing in on this. I should say that Congressman DeSaulnier's office just came back with a comment saying many of the constituents I represent are impacted by these flaring incidents and CokeDOT's releases, and I stand with them in their right to protect the health of their families and the community and hold PBF Energy accountable for its continued violations. My question is, where does the lawsuit sit in these spaces? I mean, is it the funding for the residents that the other investigations would not cover and the other political pressure would not handle?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and I think that's exactly right, is that we have our main two objectives of what we're trying to accomplish with this lawsuit, but really all of these things work in concert. I think one that you didn't mention, which we do actually note in our lawsuit, is there's a lot of questions about what all these other agencies and all these other governmental groups are doing. The FBI has been going door to door, and that's in our complaint, talking to people about what happened. And I think there's a lot of questions there about FBI investigating related to this. And how is our lawsuit going to uncover the truth about more than just this, about what else is going on there?
In terms of timing, where do you think this goes? Because we know these lawsuits, and we're talking about a first step, is just filed. How long of a road are you preparing for at this point? Because you guys are no stranger to lawsuits like this one. You've gone at PG&E, Tesla, big corporations. Where are we in that space, and how long should these residents, and if this is deemed class action, be prepared for?
It's a minimum of months, and this could go on years. You know, these things can be real drag-down fights, and we're ready for it. But, you know, it's not going to be a quick resolution one way or the other, because this is a really big problem that really needs to be addressed in a serious way.
All right. Blair Kittle, we appreciate your expertise and joining us on this lawsuit that was filed on behalf of these two Martinez residents, and what could be a class action lawsuit that takes us, as you just said, years from now. We appreciate your time.
Of course. Thank you very much.